Hello everyone, it is Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything or Clueless Gamers, back with another podcast. I am joined on this podcast with RarityFanGirl31 VA. I'm just going to refer to her as Rarity. Thank you so much for joining me on this discussion.
Thank you, Dylan. I'm so excited to talk about this. Really am.
Me too. Well, I know you are, and just a quick briefing of what this video will be about, if you can't tell by the title. So many of you have asked me about the Arc-V manga. About a couple weeks ago, Rarity reached out to me, she messaged me, said she was pretty much an expert, a self-proclaimed expert on the manga, which I had not read yet, and I said, you know what, she wanted to do a discussion. I'm like, so many people have asked me about the Arc-V manga, and I always feel bad because, you know, Genesis, Omega Dragon, and all these other aspects of it, I can't give my opinion because I've never read it, so I binge read it over the past 2 or 3 days, and we're going to do a discussion. We're going to talk about the differences between the Arc-V anime and the Arc-V manga, Genesis Omega Dragon, Leo Akiba, and Yugioh, and the fact that Reiji and the Akibas claim that Yuya is going to bring about the end of the world. And this will all be in relation to the manga, and if there is any, maybe relation to the anime. Obviously, the manga and anime, 2 different stories, but sometimes you see aspects within each other that kind of overlap. So we're going to speculate on all of that. The 4th topic we are going to discuss is about Ren and Eve, which are seemingly the 2 main antagonists. The 5th topic we are going to talk about are the U-Boys, all 4 of them. We're going to kind of compare them in the manga and in the anime, look at each one individually, see which ones we kind of prefer in this instance, and then we're going to do the same about Yuzu as the 6th topic, and pretty much the lack of Bracelet Girls, because we're only 2 volumes in, and by the way, if you want to read any of the manga, the link will be down below. Big shout out to DMC for subbing all of these, or translating all of them. I'm just used to saying subbing because I always refer to the episodes, for translating all of them. Huge shout out to him. And I have to say that if you want to read it, definitely read it. I definitely recommend it. If you love Arc-V, it's just a different perspective. You can probably read it in about 2 hours because we're only through 2 volumes. Assumingly there will be 9 volumes. You can follow the timestamps down below on each topic if one interests you more than another, but I suggest you stay for the whole thing because it means a lot to us, and we'll be definitely sharing some interesting theories. RarityFanGirl31, absolutely check this girl out, because what she does is she takes the manga. She's only done chapter 7, scale 7 to this point, but she does plan to do a lot more. This stuff takes a lot of work to do. She's casted, if you've seen like an abridged series, you know what it is. She's basically given the manga characters voices and has used themes from the Arc-V OST. Like, it's just amazing. Reiji Akaba appears in the manga, and all of a sudden Reiji's theme, like, hits. And it's just so well done. The quality is amazing, so definitely check her out, because voice actors and voice actresses, I feel like, don't get enough credit. It's not easy to be a voice actor and actress, so I have a lot of respect for them as people, and this is just, she's really a manga expert, and it's great to have her on, and someone who knows so much about the manga and is involved in the community in the way she is. She also helped me and Akiba Reiji take down a user who was stealing our videos, so she is the person responsible for that, so I owe her my thanks. We're going to get right into it. Sorry for boring you with the intro, but let's get right into it. So the first topic here about the Arc-V manga discussion are the differences between the anime and manga. If none of you have read the manga, I don't want you to feel left out when we get into the more detailed topics, so I just want to give a quick briefing on the differences between the anime and manga. Again, the manga is only about 22-23% through, so some of these differences might change, but at this moment in time, these are the differences. Rarity, if you want to give some of the differences you've noted to this point.
So the first major difference is that all 4 Yuya counterparts are seeming to be in one body together, and then they can switch between each other at will, even though Yuya seems to be, of course, the main one, and they all refer to it as Yuya's body. Yuzu does not have her bracelet. It is completely not even drawn, so it means probably no bracelet girls, but we'll talk about that more later. It is now the Shuzo dual school, not the Yusho school, and Yuzu is the heir to that school, so Yusho and Shuzo families never really had any connection. There only seems to be one dimension, which seems to be Miami City is our central location. There's different backstories for certain characters. We don't really know much about a lot of the characters' backstories. The really only one we've gotten up to this point is Shun Kurosaki. Such as he was an underground duelist and he liked to duel for the thrill of it instead of being, of course, the rebel we all know him as in the anime. The action cards and fields work differently, such as there's only 1 action card per turn, as well as action fields, once they're put up, people can't really just walk in, they have to be allowed in, I presume. Yuya's mind is actually a location that we see that people, not just the Yuyas, interact in. Like, Ren was able to hack into Yuya's mind during Scale 10, and then we got to see a bunch of stuff in the last 3 chapters in there. Solid Division seems to be taking a lot of importance as Yuya hacked into it in order to find more information about Genesis Omega Dragon. So that seems to be a lot more importance here than it is in the anime. Yuya's deck is slightly different. He has a different ace monster, which is Odd Eye's Phantom Dragon instead of Odd Eye's Pendulum Dragon, but it is still a Pendulum monster. And he still uses Entermates, but they're more like humanoid animals, or like humanoids like based like animals instead of like the circus animals. So like he has no hippo in those guys. Sorry guys, there is no hippo here. Then we have Yuzu and Yuya not seeming to know each other at the start, at least as far as we know, even though there are hints to Yuzu and Yuya kind of having a connection, according to Yugioh in Scale 10. We have no Yoko, so there's no Yuya's mom as far as we know. There's no Noboru, so he's like of the main big characters in the show, he is the only one who has not appeared yet. Yusho and Leo seeming to be on good terms here, and Akuba Leo is not a villain. He doesn't have those really weird metal things on his head. He's actually bald and he has glasses, which he looks, I think, tons better than he does in the anime. We have our new villains, which are Eve and Ren, and Sora is presumably working with them. And finally, there's a bigger focus on the pendulum summons, and that Yugioh and the other Yuya counterparts can seemingly pendulum summon, which is super, super interesting. So those are all the major differences between the manga and the anime.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, and the one note when you talk about we don't know much about backstories, it's interesting because the one relation that I made is, as you say, we have Kurosaki Shun's backstory, and he duels kind of in the underground, and he does it for the thrill, and he even harms his own life points because he, like, feels that, you know, adrenaline when his life points get lower, and it reminds me a lot of Ryo Marufuji from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX when he went through that time in Season 2 and Season 3. When he dueled in the underground, he ended up really messing himself up from it and ended up in a wheelchair in Season 4, but he really only dueled for the thrill of it, and he even used cards that injured himself, and that's what it reminds me of. Maybe not as serious as Ryo went through, but Shun reminds me a lot of that. Even Sergei, you could say. It's not the first time we've seen or heard of a character damaging themselves for the thrill of it, but it's interesting that they gave Shun that backstory. Another thing that, I'm not sure if you noted with Shun, but there was no Shun and Yuto friendship. There's no friendship between them, which we know they are best friends in the anime, and one of the funniest discussions, or I shouldn't say discussions, one of the funniest interactions in the manga for me is when Yuya's dueling Shun, and Yuya's like, maybe if my entertainment dueling gets through to him, he'll want to be friends with us. And then Yuto says, I don't want to be friends with him. And I found that so funny because they're best friends in the anime, and Yuto in the manga does not want anything to do with him unless maybe they do know each other and they're that's a theory in its own, I guess. And you guys feel free to respond to any of these because obviously we do want to hear from you guys, and I'll talk to you guys down below in the comments section about any theories you have about the manga. I've literally just read it in the last 3 days, so it definitely is very interesting, and all the differences can be confusing, but this is a normal thing for mangas and animes to have different elements, but sometimes there are things that overlap, and speaking of overlapping, here is something that I have gotten so many comments about that. Thank you, Rarity, for highlighting all the differences, and you did a great job. So Genesis Omega Dragon, which abbreviated is God, G-O-D, and it's interesting in the manga, especially in Scale 13, which just came out, just was translated, so again, thank you to the translators. I have to say, there's so many Bible references that it's kind of weird that there are this many Bible references. The only real Bible reference I can think of, I'm sure there's been more, and I'm sure people will point it out in the comments, was from Duel Monsters when Noah Kaiba used Shinato's Ark, and that was kind of a Bible reference there, Noah and an Ark. But besides that, I can't really think of anything else unless I'm just missing something. So Genesis Omega Dragon, it's a card that so many people have asked me about. It's a card that Yuya claims will change the fate of the world. And what's your take on this, Rarity? Do you think that we might see Genesis Omega Dragon appear in the anime, or do you think this is probably just a manga-only thing? Do you think this might appear in the anime, as in maybe when all 4 U-boys become one, if that happens, or they all share one body, and they all do some crazy summon, and it's Genesis Omega Dragon? I want to hear your thoughts on it, then I'll give my quick thoughts about it, because this has been a big topic of interest, Genesis Omega Dragon, for a while now.
Alright, so my idea is that Genesis Omega Dragon, my theory is that it is the combination of all 4 of the dragons, but I think in the anime we're going to probably have it called maybe something with the darkness, because I think like Genesis Omega Dragon is like the manga equivalent to the darkness. That's personally what I think. So, personally, like, in the anime, we can say when they come together, they're gonna make a giant dragon. Like, I'm pretty sure they're becoming an original dragon. And in the anime, it's kind of like, this card already exists, which implies that maybe the Yuyas once had this destruction thing. Maybe once they were merged together, this card was created, or something or other. So I think Genesis Omega Dragon, in my opinion, is just the combination of the 4 that will destroy the world, which is why Yuya is trying to get it, or perhaps that we don't exactly know why he's trying to get it besides saving the world. We don't know why personal connection that has to be Yuya, because he says if this card falls into the wrong hands, then the world will be destroyed. But what if Yuya's hands are ended up being the bad ones? Perhaps. We don't exactly know what that means, but we assume that, because he's our protagonist, we assume that he's on our side, and he is a hero in this, I assume. So it honestly just, really, we don't know much about to make a definite theory, but I'm still thinking it's the original fusion, or just something or other. That's my take, personally, but I'm pretty sure in the anime it will have a different name, because the manga is going with all the Bible references, Genesis, God, you know, it's obvious Bible references there, but that's my take on it, personally.
Yeah, I like that take a lot, and you guys obviously in the comments let us know, do you think Genesis Omega Dragon might make an appearance in the anime? Here's why I am going to take your notion a little further. I think there will be a dragon when all 4 of them form. If all 4 of them do merge, again, that's a big if, but it's kind of seemingly an inevitable if at this point. If they all do merge, which I think we can all say probably will happen. And the reason I think that Genesis Omega Dragon won't appear is because there's no hype. If you're only, and what I mean by that is if you've only watched the anime and you do not know anything about the manga, you see Genesis Omega Dragon, that has a huge impact on if you've read the manga, but it has no impact on you if you've watched the anime as any other monster would. Basically, if they named a monster, Super Rainbow Darkness Dragon, and that appeared, that would have a very, hopefully that's not the name, because that's a pretty non-intimidating name, but what I'm saying is, that would have the same impact on you as an anime-only viewer as Genesis Omega Dragon would, where it would be a benefit if you've read the manga, where you can be like, oh my god, they actually did that, and they haven't really done something like that in the past, to my knowledge, where they've taken an element in the early areas of the manga, because usually they are 2 different stories. So I do agree with you. I don't think that I think we are going to see a dragon when all 4 of them form. Again, I think that's inevitable. Will it be Genesis Omega Dragon? I don't think so. But to your point on Yuya, maybe it ending up if Yuya's hands are the wrong hands, because here was a very interesting thing that Reiji Akaba told Sora, I believe it was. He told Sora or Shingo, and he said, World Illusion. I believe that was the phrase that he used.
No, World Illusion was said by Ren in Scale 11. He just said he was called the Destiny Factor.
Okay, Destiny Factor. Right, there's a bunch of 2-word phrases. Right, I'm sorry about that. Destiny, and again, I just read these about 3 days ago, and I binge read them, so the information is kind of all there. Well, it's not all there, but Reiji basically said Yuya will be the one that destroys the world. So here's my thing on this. Again, I'm going to ask you, Rarity, if you believe there could be maybe foreshadowing what happens in the anime. I know manga and anime, I've said it now 3 times, 4 times, different stories, but to me, it's just interesting that a big theory that I hear a lot is all 4 you boys, they had these chants in episode 94 of the anime where, we will become one, and it seemed like everything was getting destroyed, like the sky turned these apocalyptic colors, and will the U-Boys bring about the end of the world in the manga, which is what Akaba Reiji claims, and will they possibly, or at least try to, bring about the end of the world in the anime? What do you think about all that?
In the anime, I can definitely say yes because of Berserk Mode, or it has actually been officially termed as The Awakening, is the official term for Berserk Mode.
Really? Oh, really? I did not know that. That
is the official name,
awesome.
But I will call it Berserk Mode because most people seem to be more familiar with the fan term. Because of that, it kind of makes them all crazy, but the Yuyas in the manga seem to be a lot more in control of themselves. There's been no instance of either 4 of them, because they've all dueled at least once, of losing control. I don't see, their dragons, because the dragons aren't calling out to each other, they're already one. So I assume that the Yuyas in the manga are a lot more controlled. So I think they have the potential to destroy the world, but I don't think in the manga they will. But I think in the anime, once they merge, maybe the worlds will merge, but I can't see it happening in the manga. There's actually something later I'm thinking about with Eve and maybe Yuzu, but bringing kind of like that, but we'll talk about that when we get to the Yuzu and Bracelet Girls discussion at the end. So my personal take is, no, we will not have them destroy the worlds in the manga, even though they probably have the very potential considering how much we've seen these guys do, especially in Yui's mind, especially in all the imagery that we've seen. I just don't see it happening in the manga, but in the anime, I can definitely see it happening.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, in the anime, I can see it happening too. It'll be very interesting if down towards the end of the anime, the U-Boys are destroying the world, because we always have the main protagonist stepping up and defeating the evil. So who's going to be the person, I guess that's an anime discussion there. Who would be the person that defeats that evil? But, I kind of agree with you, because in episode 94, when the sky was turning apocalyptic, it seemed kind of like the end of the world, and they didn't form because Yuzu was able to stop it, which is there a seal on Berserk mode, or the Awakening, as now it is officially dubbed. I really didn't know that. That is actually pretty cool. But, it's just, but that I guess really is an anime theory, and I want to discuss more about the manga elements, and elements that, well, before we move on to the next topic, I want to ask you another question to kind of follow up that. If they will not bring about the end of the world in the manga, do you think that Akiba Reiji is misinformed? Because he clearly, or maybe he's just lying about it, where he tells, I'm pretty sure it was Sora, that Yuya will be the one that destroys the world. Do you think that he's incorrect? Or do you think he believes he's correct? Maybe his father told him a lie, or there's just something else going on, or do you not make too much of that?
I could say most likely research probably from his father, because it seems like at the end of Scale 13, which there are spoilers in here, so if you don't want to read Scale 13, I recommend you read the translation, or probably by the time this comes out, Scale 13 will be released in English, so you can pretty much be caught up. He's basically like Akiba Reiji and, not Akiba Reiji, Akiba Leo and Yuya's dad, Yugioh Sakaki, were working together on this World Illusion project, which, according to Akiba Leo, was basically it combined solid vision with dual monsters to create a path to heaven. And as sort of destruction is like the destroying the world, then everyone would go to heaven, right? If we're going to talk about Bible references there. So maybe he's trying to prevent Yuya from destroying the world. Maybe that's why he's against Yuya. Maybe, perhaps. I mean, he's not trying to destroy Yuya. It seems like, because in the second chapter, he was like, Sawatari, bring Yuya in because he knows something. Or bring Yuto in because he knows something. And they want him captured. I don't think, like, Akiba Reiji's trying to kill Yuya, but I think he wants to, like, maybe contain him, or just, like, learn more about, like, his mind or his past. I just don't see him... I do see him not being misinformed. I guess it's probably from his father's research, probably. That's kind of on his side, because Akiba Leo and Reiji seem to have a normal life. I mean, we had this little discussion in Scale 13. They were talking about Reiji's grades in university and the fact that he was failing or, like, not answering questions just to get his dad to spend some time with them. So
which is kind of sad in a way.
And there's also, let's also note, there is no Himika and there is no Reira, so it's basically just Akiba Leo and Reiji in the manga in terms of the Akibas, as far as we know. So that's what my personal thought is. I think that Reiji kind of believes that Yuya will destroy the world or has capabilities, and he wants to prevent that. That's just my theory anyway, but it could be anything. The manga and the anime, as we know, love to give us plot twists often, so it's very hard to predict, but that's personally my take on it.
I think that actually transitions beautifully into the next topic, which is, it seems to be our two main antagonists, two probably manga-only characters, a man named Ren and a woman named Eve. We've seen Ren duel, and Ren used a synchro deck. He dueled against Yugioh in Yuya's brain. We have not seen Eve duel yet. We really don't know much about them. They're both, even though we've seen Ren duel now, still very mysterious characters. And I want to ask you maybe about this theory. Do you think Reiji, even in the anime and probably in the manga, just seems to be a very calm, on top of everything kind of guy? Do you think he's aware of Ren and Eve's presence and knows that they maybe are the people that he needs to take down, and that's why he's trying to get Yuya to help him maybe in a way, and that's why he's trying to bring Yuya into the office? Do you think that is plausible in any way, and that's maybe why he's trying to get Yuya to join him, because he really needs Yuya's help to take down Ren and Eve? What do you make of what do you make of that theory, and what do you make of just these two new characters, and what do you think about them?
Well, I'm going to first talk about Ren and Eve's characters. A little bit easier for me. Eve, we don't really know much about her. She seems to be our main antagonist because she is above Ren, because she sends Ren into Yuya's mind to probe his memories. And we learn at the end what she was after was to find out that Yuya has this thing called Adam's Factor, which is, we actually know no idea what this is, but I presume that could be the capability to destroy the world, is what I assume. And Ren, we know that he was a turbo duelist. He was in something called the Continental Circus, which is like, I guess, like the equivalent to like a pro dueling circuit that he like climbed to the top. So he's like a very, very skilled riding duelist. During his duel with Yugioh, he talked about technique. He was talking about all this like really, there was like a really realistic riding duel. Like in the manga, there is no autopilot. This is all like really, really like legit, like writing.
Yep.
They were talking about the tactics, the speed, the wind, like getting your opponent off guard. It was just really, really interesting. I know someone on New York Cradle just ate that up, like all this realisticness with these writing duels. I know he did. Shout out to you if you know what I'm talking about. So that's what I think Ren is. Personally, I think but I don't see Ren as a villain because he seems really concerned about Yugioh when he fell off. You know, he fell off before Yuya saved him, of course, because Yugioh's not going to die this early in. I don't think he can die. I don't think so. So I think that Ren isn't a villain, but he's definitely an antagonist. He's working with our villain. That's personally my theory. And Eve, I don't really know. And back to what you were saying about with the Reiji theory, I've never really heard of that theory before, and I'm not really sure.
It honestly just came to my mind, so it's just something I made up.
I personally, I'm gonna say no, because I think Reiji knew that Sora was kind of a double agent, because he's like, I should have kept a better eye on you. Like, he knew Sora was suspicious. Like, he knew, because Sora took, like, a very big interest in the pendulum summons. He was probably taking this a little more seriously, and he was the one doubting Akuma Reiji, which at the beginning of the manga was like, why are you doubting your boss, Sora? But now we know he's working for the villains, which is really interesting, which I really like that plot twist. He's going to stay evil. It's going to be nice, different from the anime, definitely. So that's what I think, that Reiji... I think we have 3 separate teams. We have the Eve and Ren, we have Reiji and his crew, and then we have Yuya and Yuzu and all of them, I think, personally. So I don't see Reiji trying to get Yuya to team up, because I don't think they would use such violent methods. You know, like, duel this guy, defeat him, and then bring him back. It's not like we want to negotiate. And Reiji's not really doing anything. He has a lot of things in secret. At the end of Scale 13, we actually saw he has a pendulum card stuck in a little container from his father. We don't know what this card is. But I presume people are thinking it could be part of Genesis Omega Dragon, but I'm not exactly sure. But he definitely has interest in pendulum summoning, and of course he made Sora pendulum cards, so I presume that maybe Shun will get pendulum cards. I'm pretty sure, like, in this verse, because the Xyz, you know, the Xyz stubbornness, because there's no war going on, I think he'd be more willing to use pendulums than he did in the anime. And maybe Shingo, of course, Shingo probably used pendulums, I'm sure he would. I mean, Shingo just uses pendulums, because he's like, I'm the pendulum master, and not everyone else isn't.
Just like in the anime.
Just exact, so I think, even though he has these pendulums yet, which I predict he will. So that's personally my take. So Reiji probably, I think, it's have 3 separate teams. That's personally my theory. Just 3 separate teams, and maybe they'll converge at one point, but I don't see that as Reiji's goal now, but I could definitely see, like, Reiji teaming up with the U-Boys at the end of the manga. I could totally see that.
Okay, I like that too. Yeah, I can definitely see them teaming up at the end. Now, one quick question, and you can answer this in 20 seconds if you want, or you can get more in detail on it. What team is Yugioh on?
I think Yugioh is on Yuya's team. That's personally my theory. I mean, I couldn't see him working... I mean, he was working with Akuma Leo, but we don't exactly know what happened, because it seems like Yugioh and Akuma Leo disappeared. And we'll get to some talk about the U-Boys, because my personal theory is that it was, Yugioh's fault, but the Yuyas are all stuck together. Because there is the big theory, which we'll get into more detail, about the Yuyas actually being brothers. Because we've seen a lot of flashbacks of Yuya and Yugioh as kids, and they were separate, and they were actually had their own lives. So unless they were really, really close family friends, I think they're siblings, because it would make sense why they'd be willing to go into Yuya's body. If they, like, were family friends, I don't know if some people would be willing to do that, but if you're family, and I presume, like, I presume they'd all be, like, quadruplets, or Yuya would be the youngest, I presume. There's not really an age difference, but that's personally my theory on it. So, yeah, that's my theory.
Okay, that's definitely interesting. Yeah, I'm not really sure what team Yugioh could be on. If I like the whole 3 teams aspect. I like how you kind of broke it down like that. I like looking at it like that. Yeah, Yugioh, you know, I mean, we don't know enough about him right now to make that claim, to make the claim where I would think maybe he could even be with Leo Akaba, but probably with Yuya, as you just said, in the anime as well. Probably same thing here in the manga. But anyway, we're going to move on to what you just mentioned, the U-Boys. The U-Boys are all in one body, it appears like, which is in Yuya's body. They all have interaction, which I have to say, in comparing it to the anime, I like that a lot more. I didn't mind how the show started, but I feel like now we're at episode 119, and we haven't had any interaction between Yuya and Yugioh. I don't think we've had any interaction between Yuya and Yuri. We've had minimal interaction between Yuto and Yugioh. Really, that was early on.
And there's no Yuto and Yuri, because Yuto wasn't there during Ruri's kidnapping.
Exactly. So, besides the Yuya and Yuto and the Yugioh and Yuri, which they seem to be their own group, and even at the beginning of the manga, it seemed like that was like Yugioh and Yuri were closer with each other, and Yuto and Yuya were closer. So I like how they kind of kept that faction. but in the anime, it's just kind of stalled at this point. Like, you really want this interaction, and you're not sure when you're going to get this interaction. You're probably just going to get one duel, and then that's going to be it, because the truth is, and I don't want to sadden people, you're going to blink your eyes and the show's going to be over. The show probably only has a half a year left. It's going to end in probably March, so it's probably only got, or March or April, so it's probably only got 25, 30 episodes left, so how much are you going to build the relationship between the four U boys, which is why I really enjoy the manga, because you can kind of still get that same feeling from what you kind of feel like you're being robbed of in the anime, where in the manga, at least you have the U-boy interaction. And I'm not trying to trash on the anime in any way. You guys know I absolutely love the anime. I love all the Yu-Gi-Oh animes, and I still do believe that maybe in 5 or 10 episodes, we will have some interaction between Yuya and Yugioh, or Yuya and Yuri, or Yugo and Yuri, and hopefully that happens. Also, what's interesting here is obviously in the anime, Yuri is evil. You have this whole berserk mode concept. In the manga, it's completely missing, and Yuri really isn't evil at all. He's just, protecting Yuya along with the other three. So what do you enjoy about the manga? Because I know you're gonna love to talk about this. So what are your main enjoyments about that?
I also love, number one, that they can all interact with each other. That's probably my favorite aspect, that they can actually talk to each other, because Yuzu's bracelet, and they're all in one body, so I love that. I also love how the personalities are slightly different, so we're not feeling like with the exact same characters as the anime, but they're really, really similar. Like, I feel like each U-boy, or Phantom Four, I call them the Phantom Four, so if I refer to them as that, you're talking about the 4 manga boys right here. They each kind of but kind of have a trait from one of the others. Such as Yuya, for instance, is a lot more childish and a lot more reckless than the anime, which I feel like he would get that from Yugo. And then Yugo seems to be a lot more serious, as his duel with Ren. Like, he barely smiled during that duel at all. He, wasn't, his usual self when he's dueling. It was kind of like when he was dueling Rin. He was, ultra, ultra serious. And I feel like he got that from Yuto. I feel like Yuto kind of got that bit of an ego kind of going on, which, as we saw, actually all the Yuyas except for, I think all of them have an ego at some point, which Yuri's ego is the funniest thing ever. That I'm going to be dubbing Scale 9, and that's going to be so much fun to work on. I just can't wait to get to that, but off topic. So Yuto has a bit of an ego, which I assume he got from Yuri, and then Yuri got a lot more violent. He was trying to, murder Sora. He was go to hell with you. So I think he probably got that from Yuto, a little more aggressiveness. And also, this could be a hint to Yuri's anime reformed personality. He's more the calm, cool, and collected, but still sassy. But he's not evil. I could see that happening if Yuri gets reformed, which I'm pretty sure at this point he's going to get reformed.
Absolutely.
At this point, I don't know when. Maybe I don't know, but I feel like Yuri's going to get reformed. It's just kind of inevitable at this point. So that could be his reformed personality, which I wouldn't mind it. It's just literally Yuri in the anime without, him trying to, want to card people. But he's still got that sassiness. He's still got the great expression work, so it's pretty good. I also love that the other Yuyas kind of have this thing when they duel, they can switch on a dime and the deck changes. Such as during the first 3 chapters chapters 2 and 3. Yuto took over the first part of the duel with Shingo, and then Yuya was like, oh, this is a bad matchup for you. Better me take over because this is a better matchup for my deck. Which is really strategic, which I love that Yuya took over and, beat the duel, even though I'm kind of mad that Yuya's kind of been, winning all the other Yuya counterparts, except for Yugo, who just defeated Ren, who we were all worried that Yuya was going to take over, even though he won due to Yuya's pendulum magic. That I'm pretty sure it's kind of nice that they can switch, so maybe we'll have a duel where all 4 of them join in. And the cards they still have in the field. So this could be some really creative, combos and perhaps, some Xyz fusions, all combining all the summoning methods together. That would be really awesome to see a duel like that. I could see that happening later on. I also just love their brotherly love for Yuya. That's really heartwarming. I adore that. I'm into the fields. And I adore, brotherly relationships. Kaiba brothers are my favorite thing ever, but still. I had to throw out that at some point, yeah. So I really like their brotherly love aspect. They're all I'm gonna protect Yuya. And it's also really heartbreaking that they're willing to sacrifice their own lives, their memories, just so Yuya doesn't have to suffer. That's deep.
It is.
Really deep. And it really gets you. And it makes me wonder how this happened and how did they agree to be in this body, which I all think that was Yusho kind of leading, Yuya is important, I want you 3 to take care of him while I'm gone, because Reiji, Akabaleo said to Reiji, I want you to finish my business when I left. So it makes sense that Yusha would say something similar to the other three. Like, I need you to take care of Yuya. He has this pendulum. He's like, this thing's, I want you to go and protect him. And then they just figure, let's just go inside of him and make sure he's safe at all times. That's personally what I think. But that's what I love about the U-Boys in general. I like, of course, certain characters better in the anime. Like, I like Yugioh in the anime better. Of course I do. I love Yugioh. He's way better. He's a little more, like, fun, his normal self in the anime. I like manga Yuya better because he's a lot more sassy. He's a lot more of the entertainerness, but he's not, like, he doesn't really contradict himself that much. Because I feel like Yuya as a character has been kind of going on and off. Yuri, 50-50. I think both versions work. And Yuto, he's kind of the same in both, kind of. So he's kind of in the middle, too. So that's basically my take on it. But now I've rambled off for long enough about the U-Boys in the manga. So now, what do you think about this, Dylan?
Well, I knew you love that topic. I know you love your U-Boys, so I gave you plenty of time to discuss. And no, you did it in a concise time, so good job with that. But now, what I was going to say is I just enjoy seeing Yuri. Yuri, I've said it before in my Q&As, I feel like he has the potential where he could be one of my favorite characters in Arc 5. The problem is I cannot make that claim. I can't even come close to making that claim because I feel like we just haven't seen enough of him. I mean, now we're in academia. He dueled in 106. I believe it was 106, which was the episode titled Arc-V Project, and he just slaughtered the 5 GX students. I know they weren't from GX, but they used all GX-based decks, so I just refer to them as that. And that duel was great, and he gets teleported away. We're in academia. This is supposed to be Yuri's home turf, and now we're 15 episodes down the road, no sign of him. Not even just a quick 30-second scene. So he just has this tendency to disappear and do nothing. I really do believe, like when this last opening and ending hits, which is in October, so in a month or so, I think Yuri is going to be like the main focus. I think he's going to have a huge role to play, and I really hope that's the case. But at this point, I like Yuri more in the manga only because there's more of him, and I kind of like that defensive, calm, sassy personality that he has.
And also, with a bit of an ego, thinking that Yuzu is...
That was great. Yeah,
he's just like, hotties. He's like, I can't not do my Yuzu right now because I voiced her in my project. But yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. I also love that Yuto kind of thought that too, was blushing when Yuzu was kind of like winking at him, like, I look good in a suit. You think I'm cute? And he's like, I'll just quit fooling. And then Yuri just fully involved in this. The manga has a lot of great comedic moments. I'll give it that. It has so many great moments. The artwork is amazing, which is actually done by the character designer. Just fun fact, which is super awesome. And also the U's are actually drawn a lot more consistently. Like, they're actually drawn to look similar. And that's another note I might want to make. I should have made this earlier. Is that the Yuyas, when someone switches, they notice. It's not like, you just look like Yuya. They're referred to as personalities.
Which I like that a lot more. Yeah, I like that a lot more.
I refer to them as personalities, which I think that is a big cover-up. Because I feel like Yuya doesn't seem to know a lot of the really important plot stuff, because he says, my memory is full of holes. So he doesn't know much, plus the Yuyas have been destroying his memories. Yugioh, pretty much, he kind of confirms, saying, I use my dragon, I've been the one riding around, destroying his memories. So I think the other three know a lot more, and are using this personality trick to try to hide what they actually are. Maybe their past, maybe whatever they are, because we honestly don't know.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. And again, everyone who has theories down below, please leave. And we're going to go over a couple at the very end, just very quickly, some theories that we've heard and what we believe and not. But before we get to that, last topic. So the U-Boys, we gave our opinions on them. And again, read the manga if you haven't, because the manga, especially if you love the U-Boys and that interaction, that's kind of lacking in the anime, because you kind of get to fill in on that. So definitely, and again, I'll link the manga down below in the description. Now, the final topic is, you mentioned it briefly when we went over the big differences, and a major difference, one dimension, Yuzu, no bracelet. She didn't know Yuya before the manga began. She met Yuya during the manga. She's pretty greedy in the manga. She's very different than, she's very money hungry. She's very different than how she is in the anime. Very different.
Yeah, very Flanderized, if I had to say a word. Very Flanderized.
Yes, absolutely. And do you like the fact, and I still hope that the other bracelet girls will be introduced, but I'm not sure if they will be, honestly. What do you think about all that? Do you think we will see Selena, Rin, Ruri at some point, or do you think it's just going to be Yuzu, and Yuzu's not going to have a main role? But then again, I know you have a big theory that I like this theory a lot that ties into the whole Adam and Eve concept, so you can go ahead and give your thoughts on that if you want.
Alright, so Yuzu in the manga is really, really flanderized, and that could be due to the writer, who is Yoshida, who I believe wrote the Zexo manga. And if you've read the Zexo manga, then you know female characters have always been an issue in Yu-Gi-Oh! But I feel like, at least from Yoshida's writing perspective, he's never been able to write them maybe too well. He never really wants to give them a main focus, even though the Zexo manga's villain, I believe, was female, and this manga villain as well seems to be female. So I just think that Yuzu's going to be a sideline. She does say she knows how to duel. I think she's just going to be, like, more the coachery character, not like in the anime. She's just the side character. Yuya's, like, person there to help some bounce, like, dialogue off, maybe, like, representing the audience. Like, oh, we're learning this for the first time. Yuzu's kind of, like, mirroring our reactions. And about Ruri, Rin, and Serena, I honestly can't see it because there's been no hints to them at all. Like, Yugioh's had these flashbacks, right? If you think Yugioh would have memory flashbacks, you think he'd say Rin. You think he would. It's like, oh, you look like Rin. Like, you think he would say it when he met Yuzu. But he doesn't. But he did seem to know at scale 10 is like, that Yuzu and Yuya have this connection, which kind of leads into my theory, that Eve is actually the Bracelet Girls combined into one, perhaps from the future or something? Because it seems like Yuzu and Yuya have a connection that the U-boys know, but Yuzu and Yuya themselves do not know. That is personally what I think. It would be really interesting if Yuzu, like, maybe she becomes the villain at the end? Because, like, I mean, we already have a female villain, so it makes sense to give our female companion, combine that all into one, kind of thing. But honestly, I honestly don't know, but that's my big theory, and that Ren perhaps is like maybe, because like Ruri, I could say that Ren could take, this is a really out of weird theory, that Ren is like Kurosaki Shun's like counterpart, weird guy from the future, just something, because he's from Synchro, so I don't think that's the case, even though everyone says he looks like Vector and Reiji in terms of design, and the fact that he has like a Jack Atlas looking belt. People saying he could be Jack Atlas, but I don't see cameo characters making an appearance in the manga. I personally don't see it, but he could be heavily inspired by Jack Atlas as far as we know. But that's kind of my theory, that the Bracelet Girls, perhaps, I don't really believe this, but this is something really interesting, that the Bracelet Girls, they're from the future combined, is what Eve is. And he's trying to get, because there's also something called Adam's Factor, right? So I think that's Yuya. So what if Eve's factor is secretly in Yuzu, and that's why Eve has said no desire to get Yuzu as far as we know, but perhaps that may be that Eve is the complete Yuzu and this is her from the past, or just something or other, because it would kind of be weird, right? We have like Yuya, this big atom, like really like half of it, and then this new character that comes out of nowhere, but since we've been stated that Yuya and Yuzu have a connection, I feel like that theory could be very well true. But what are your thoughts on that, Dylan?
Well, yeah, that's definitely interesting, and whether Yuzu will be the main villain or not, I'm not quite sure. I am a little disappointed at how she is written in the manga. In the anime, I think she's recently she hasn't done much, which I know a lot of fans, including myself, are.
She's become Mokuba.
Yeah, I know you're.
I love Mokuba to death, but I mean, he didn't duel, so I can't exactly like say that he did that.
Yeah, well, she's dueled as much as he has in the last 30 episodes. I mean, she just hasn't done anything, which is just very irritating. It is. And I don't like but I still don't like how she's really written in the manga. She hasn't even dueled yet, and it doesn't even, she says she can duel, but, we'll see how good of a duelist she is.
She's Yuya's manager. I mean, she's the heir to the duel school, so of course she probably knows how to duel, but we never see a duel disc from her. We never see a deck. So I don't see her dueling, to be perfectly honest. Maybe if she becomes a villain, of course she will, but I just don't see it at this point, because just the way that Yoshida seems to write females. I haven't read too much of Zexo manga, but from what I've heard from my friends or people that have read it, that's a common criticism, is the way that Yoshida, the writer, writes females. So personally, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Manga Yuzu. While she is a lot of fun to play in my project because of just really fun girly lines. I mean, doing over-the-top stuff's one of my favorite things to do. But that doesn't exactly say that she's written good. Just because it's fun to do doesn't mean she's written good. So that's personally my take on Yuzu.
Yeah, well, I agree with you 100%. And then the fact that, again, we're only 2 volumes through. If there's 9 volumes like GX 5Ds and Zexalo we're not even a quarter of the way through. But if there's no Ruri, Rin, and Selena, they play such an important part in Arc 5 that, well, I should say probably play an important part down the road. I guess we don't really know. But that's been the whole focus, capturing these Bracelet Girls. And I know the manga is a different story, but I'd still like to see something from them. I mean, I know, it probably just won't happen because the manga is a different story. So that's something that also kind of annoys me. But that, I mean, unless you have anything else to say, I'll pretty much leave that there. with the female girls.
I kind of agree with you there, but I also kind of like that, at least this is about the manga. The manga has a such smaller cast, and that's why I feel like the story is progressing, and it's like we're getting, each character is getting a lot more development that way.
That's
I feel
true.
like if we added the other 3 bracelet girls, it'd be too many main characters. I feel like that's kind of the sacrifice. For the Yu interaction, we have to sacrifice Yuzu, unfortunately, and the other girls, unfortunately, to get the Yu interaction we all want. Which is really sad to say. I don't like it, but honestly, it's what we got. We just gotta enjoy what we've been given. And the Yu interaction is fantastic. I hope that Yuzu will get to duel, or we see other female characters. Perhaps Eve duel. I mean, Ren used a white synchro deck, and of course, Sora is like their fusion guy. So I assume that Eve would use an Xyz black deck, is what I would assume. Plus, she has, like, a darker color scheme. Like, her skin looks black from what we've seen. I just hope we get to see more of her. But next chapter, which is scale 14, it ended with Reiji. So maybe Reiji will be the focus. We'll get to see a lot more plot development. So we just have a lot more to theorize about. And I would love to come back for another manga discussion when we get probably through the next few volumes as well. There's just so much to discuss. Every chapter, we just get minds blown. Like, right before we recorded the discussion, we got the translation for Scale 13, just blew our minds.
It changed everything.
Changed everything. And everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
Oh, Avatar, my God, I have not heard that. I haven't heard that reference in years. My God, that's a throwback right there.
It's a common one.
It is. Oh, man. Well, yeah, so, I mean, that pretty much is going to wrap it up. Let us know, again, any theories that you have down below, and I'd love to do another discussion. Another thing, if you guys want to see me maybe do reviews of the mangas when they come out, let me know down below, kind of like I do with the episodes. Still on the fence of whether I should do them or not, but let me know down below. I'll definitely do more, podcasts with people that enjoy the manga, especially with you, Rarity. You really know your stuff. And just before we leave, and before we leave you guys, I have one theory that I just want to quickly read to you, and I want to get your opinion on. Someone messaged me on Twitter, a big fan of the manga, and I said, yeah, I'm doing a discussion later with someone, and that'll probably be up in a couple days. And he said he thinks the reason they're protecting Yuya's memories is because in Yuya's memories there's a key, and that key would unlock whatever the key would unlock, but the key would unlock something that leads to the end of the world, that Yuya, deep in his mind that he doesn't remember, knows something about how to end the world, and that's what they're trying to uncover. I think it's an interesting theory, but what do you think about it?
If he said it was in the memories, correct? Is that exactly what the theory says?
Yes.
In the memories. I don't know. I could say it's possible, but the fact that the U-Boys, they are destroying memories, but Yugioh specifically says in Scale 13, we're destroying Yugioh's memories of us. So perhaps destroying those could be like trying to find and destroy this key, perhaps, to get it from Ever Awakening. Because it seems like Yuya's memories of Yugioh and him as kids kind of reawakened because Yugioh was in his mind so long. So maybe that's the reason that they all like to hang around Yuya on the outside, is to prevent that from happening, or at least one of them is preventing them from being outside. Because Yugioh and Yuri were breaking memories on their own without Yuya's knowledge, and Yuto was covering for them. In Scale 7, we learned where they were, because everyone was like, Yugioh and Yuri, you're not in the manga? It's like, oh no, they are! You just gotta wait a little bit to get them. That's kind of why I'm going to be dubbing chapters 7 through 10, because that's when the plot gets going, plus we get Yugioh and Yuri, so personally, I had to dub that, because Yuri screen time plus Yugioh, I had to put him in there, because Car gets a motorcycle. But anyway, that's personally what I think. So it's an interesting theory, but I just don't really see it if they're destroying memories, but perhaps, maybe that's the Adams factor, probably, but that's not really connected to the memories, because after Yugioh destroyed the memories in Scale 13, the vibrations from that, like, power that Ren pointed at, which is Adams factor, was still there. So maybe, and I don't think they want to destroy any more of Yuya's brain, but that's just my take on it.
Yeah, it's a fair take. I mean, interesting theory. I love to read all theories, but really with any theory, it's just like, it just adds to the list of what it could possibly be. There's just so many different theories, and now between the anime and now that I'm starting to get into the manga, it's just so many theories. My head is spinning every time I think of one. But I always love to hear theories, and I love to hear from you guys. So please leave your theories. I just bashed on theories, but please leave them down below in the comment section. Obviously, you guys know I do really enjoy hearing from you guys, and
I'll try to reply as well.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So I mean, that's pretty much it. Rarity, thank you so much for for joining me. If you want to give them a quick spiel, I kind of did in the beginning about what you do over on your channel, you can go right ahead.
Well, thank you. On my channel, RarityFanGirl31 VA, I do comic dubs, basically voice acting related things, which comic dubs is what he was describing, me dubbing the manga with a visual audio adaptation. I want to make Yu-Gi-Oh! More like my main fandom for my larger projects, but I do things from Steven Universe, so, like mainly My Little Pony, which is not as much anymore, that was more in my beginning days. Pokemon, as well as Sonic the Hedgehog. I voice in a lot of different projects as well. I'm very busy currently with a lot of my projects I have, but if you have a project, especially something that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Related, and you would like me to help out, you can, of course, message me. I'm always open. You can follow me on Tumblr, where I make Arc-V GIFs, sometimes the newest episodes. Sometimes I do raw reactions, like today I raw reacted to 54's dub, as well as this Scale 13. Maybe I'll rant a little bit. So basically you can find me on there. I also have a collage making side blog on there, as well as a roleplay blog. I do a lot of different stuff, but that's basically what I do. Just as a note, if you are all following my manga series, Scale 8, which is the next chapter, which is Sora's Hospitality, which is the first part of the Yuya versus Sora duel, for those who haven't read it yet, is very much in production. I'm trying to get it out as fast as possible, but it's turning out fantastic. There's a preview on my channel. You can go look at that. It's just going to turn out great. I know you guys are all going to enjoy it. And Scale 7, which is Genesis Omega Dragon, is already up on my channel. It's been up for about a month now. So I hope you guys will enjoy that and enjoy my future content. And I just can't wait maybe to come back for more discussions with Dylan. I hope so.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. It was a lot of fun, Rarity. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm just glad we were finally able to get a manga discussion on here, because so many people have asked me about it. So thank you guys for watching, because again, I always say this, me and Rarity, we're only two people of a much larger community. It really is the people watching at home that are leaving comments and interacting with this video that make this all possible. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to two people ramble on about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc-V manga. We really hope you enjoyed. Leave any comments down below. Like the video. Please subscribe. Again, when I hit 1,000, a couple of big new video series and big channel announcement is coming out. So cannot wait for that. Hopefully that happens by the end of the month. And just the support means a lot to us. Me, it means a lot to Rarity. So, again, cannot thank you enough. But anyway, guys, that wraps it up. I will see you guys probably, I don't know when this will come out. Maybe my 119 review if it's not out yet. If not, maybe I'll see you on some random video. Who knows? Maybe someone will steal one of my videos again and I'll have to make an update. But anyway.
And I'll have to make sure to catch them.
Exactly, because I'm oblivious to it. So it'll be up to Rarity to catch them out. But anyway, guys, thank you as always. I will see you next time. Have a great day.